Federal Reserve statement, which saw them leave the interest rates unchanged. At the same time, energy stocks were the biggest drag as U.S. crude oil prices fell. The Dow Jones Industrial Average just managed to edge higher to 26,191, while the S&P 500 lost a quarter percentage point to 2,806. The Nasdaq Composite Index slipped 0.5% to 7,530 points. For more on the markets, we cross to Arabile Gumede. He's standing by at the JSE. Good afternoon, Arabile. Lots of red on the board today.
It is lots of red across the board. In fact, it's absolutely a horrible one when you take a look at it. Over 2% loss now on the JSE today, over 1,000 points being lost to the market. Indeed, it is a risk-off sentiment clearly for South Africa and hasn't been that great when you consider that the JSE All-Share now sits at around 52,800 points or so and may indeed be headed even lower. The likes of Naspers dropping even further. But how's that fared across the European market? Let's check in on that right now. As we usually do on a Friday, of course, Warwick Luke is joining us as we unpack some of that market movement from Galileo Capital. Warwick, thank you so much for the time. It's absolutely horrible. What is going on? So much blood on the dance floor here.
All right, so I think part of what we're seeing is a weak commodities day, and that partially explains why that rand is taking a bit of heat as well. Yeah, I mean that's it's certainly moved it to quite broad spread, hasn't it? Not just the mining's taking a smack there.
One would question then that we thought perhaps we had reached a bottom not so long ago. That we'd perhaps get another uptick now towards the end of the markets, and clearly we saw the midterms even come out, and we thought, okay, this is perhaps some positivity as well for our market. Clearly not a sustainable end to it.
Well, not on first blush. I guess markets got to digest what is a new Congress going to mean. In some ways, markets actually quite like a detente or standoff between a presidency and a Congress, because the overriding sentiment being that politicians that have too much of a free hand usually abuse it. What does it mean for trade talks going forward? I mean, that's still got to be clarified. I mean, ideally, we now on the other side of elections is electioneering is out of the way, posturing hopefully out of the way, and we'd be looking for some kind of resolution to start getting hammered out now between the US and China.
Yeah. In some of the equity news, you get some trading updates to have come out today. Which one of those stood out for you, and possibly ones that make the market sort of look the way it does right now as well?
All right, so we had some quite horrible ones out from both Tongaat and from Invictus, some pointing towards losses in some areas. I mean, it does point towards some struggling in agricultural areas. I think some of it relates to prices that they receive. Invicta more exposed though to individual farmers. I would have been looking, I must say, for some recovery in some area, because of course we should be rebounding from drought, and I mean that's one of the shoes that's got to drop in terms of does GDP go positive for Q3 or not, and that's quite an important one for us. So yeah, some generally quite tricky there. I mean, another leg to Tongaat, the fact that it has quite substantial land sales as part of its earnings profile, and things like building and land generally anyway have been very, very stale. And we can see it in the likes of the construction industry, estate agents, and all reporting really, really tough conditions. And in fact, in the mining data that we saw recently, I mean, if you look through building aggregates, again, that was a line item that really, really struggled.
Yeah, even gold production going down a massive 19% in that mining production, right? So overall, though, there seems to be some sense of negativity out of that commodity space. You did say today seems to be that down day on them. Why, though? What exactly is going on?
Okay, I mean, some of it's going to be swings and roundabouts. I mean, we do see volatility there. I mean, Brent, for example, also down on the day. And that's sort of a broad global economic indicator. So I think there is part of that. I mean, we really do want to see this detente between US and China solved. I think right now that is very much front of mind.
Yeah, actually, if you take a look at the price of oil, that seems to be a little incorrect, and it's just gone below $70 a barrel for Brent crude. So that's going to be an interesting mark to look out for. But taking a look at the rand now, I mean, we saw it even go, very, very strong then at, well below 14 rand against the US dollar. Now we've gone back past that mark and seemingly stable there.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, look, part of that was we saw some recovery in the dollar against other currencies there. I think the interpretation of that FOMC decision basically being, well, okay, they said no hike, but it was a clear 9-0. I mean, it was absolutely determinant. To me, that seems that there's been horse trading, and the horse trading came out of, well, fine, we're going to hike next month. And so I think the market looking through that non-hike to a very clear scenario of, well, they will hike in December.
Yeah. Warwick Lucas, appreciate your time, but down 2 1/3% for the JSE All Share. Absolute hammering in this Friday trade. More than 5% lost for the likes of Richmond. More than 4% lost for Naspers. A big sell-off then in South African markets. That's where the buck stops this afternoon. Zinga joins you right after this. Do stay tuned.